What if I told you that a golden-colored $1 coin from the year 2000 could be sitting unnoticed in an old collection, a coin jar, or even an inherited box of change, and that some examples can be worth dramatically more than their $1 face value? Welcome back to Coins Explorer, where we explore the history, varieties, condition, rarity, and real collector value behind fascinating coins from around the world. Today, we are taking a very close look at the 2000D Sacagawea $1 coin, one of the most recognizable American dollar coins of the modern era. The letter D is extremely important because it identifies the Denver Mint, where this particular issue was produced. At first glance, this coin may look like an ordinary golden dollar, but its story is connected to one of the most important new coin launches in the United States at the beginning of the 21st century. The biggest question is not simply whether your coin says 2000D, but what condition it is in, whether it has an unusual characteristic, and whether it belongs to a special issue or set. Some online claims dramatically exaggerate the value of ordinary examples, so today we are separating the real facts from the internet rumors. We will examine the design, metal composition, weight, diameter, mint mark, production history, varieties, special Millennium Set examples, grading, errors, and realistic collector considerations. We will also explain why a normal circulated 2000D should not automatically be called a rare or million-dollar coin. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what to look for before deciding whether your 2000D dollar deserves a closer examination. So stay with me, because the most interesting part of this coin is not the golden color. It is what can happen when condition, rarity, and certification come together. The 2000D dollar is a Sacagawea dollar, a United States $1 coin first introduced in the year 2000. The coin was designed with a distinctive golden appearance that immediately separated it visually from older silver-colored American dollar coins. According to PCGS, the regular 2000D issue was struck at the Denver Mint and had a reported mintage of 518,916,000 pieces. That is an enormous production number, and it is one of the most important facts to remember when evaluating this coin. A high mintage means that an ordinary example is not automatically rare simply because it is more than 25 years old. The coin carries a face value of $1, but collectors can value individual examples differently depending on condition and other characteristics. The regular issue has a plain edge rather than the edge lettering used on later Native American dollar issues. Its diameter is approximately 26.50 millimeters, and its standard weight is approximately 8.10 grams. PCGS lists the composition as 88.5% copper, 6% zinc, 3.5% manganese, and 2% nickel. This layered composition gives the coin its famous golden color without making it a solid gold coin. That distinction is extremely important because the coin's color can sometimes cause inexperienced collectors to assume that it contains a significant amount of gold. It does not. The 2000D Sacagawea dollar is therefore best understood as a copper-based clad dollar with a manganese brass outer appearance, not a gold bullion coin. The obverse of the 2000D Sacagawea dollar features a portrait of Sacagawea, the Shoshone woman associated with the Lewis and Clark expedition. The portrait was created by artist Glenna Goodacker, while the reverse design was created by Thomas D. Rogers Sr., according to PCGS. Sacagawea is shown facing forward, creating a very different visual style from many earlier American dollar coins. Her portrait was chosen to honor her historical role and her association with one of the most famous exploration journeys in American history. Around the portrait are the inscriptions associated with the coin, including Liberty and I in God We Trust, while the date and mint mark are positioned as part of the design. On a 2000D example, the small letter D is the feature that tells us the coin was struck at Denver. When examining a coin, collectors should use good lighting and magnification rather than relying only on a casual glance. The portrait should be checked for normal wear, scratches, contact marks, discoloration, and unusual die characteristics. Because these coins were produced in huge quantities, many examples encountered today have marks from storage, transportation, counting, or circulation. A perfectly preserved surface is much harder to find than an ordinary circulated example. This is why professional grading can become important for coins that appear unusually clean. Remember that a shiny appearance alone does not automatically mean a coin is valuable. Cleaning can actually reduce collector appeal because original surfaces are highly important in numismatics. The reverse of the 2000D Sacagawea dollar presents a soaring American bald eagle surrounded by stars, creating one of the most recognizable images in the series. The eagle design was created by Thomas D. Rogers Sr., and it helped establish the visual identity of the new dollar coin. The reverse is especially interesting because collectors pay attention to the details of the feathers, stars, fields, lettering, and overall strike quality. On an ordinary coin, small marks in these areas can come from normal handling and production. However, unusually strong strikes with exceptionally clean surfaces can become much more desirable to collectors. It is important not to confuse a normal design feature with a mint error. A genuine mint error generally involves an abnormality created during the manufacturing process, while a scratch or damage occurring after the coin leaves the mint is considered post-mint damage. This distinction is one of the biggest lessons for anyone searching through old coins. The 2000p issue is famous for certain special varieties, including the Cheerios prototype reverse and the Wounded Eagle variety. But those famous varieties should not automatically be attributed to a normal 2000D coin. NGC's Variety Plus database specifically lists the 2000D Millennium Set as a recognized variety or designation, while the famous Cheerios and Wounded Eagle entries are associated with 2000p coins. This means collectors should be very careful when watching videos or listings that combine different 2000 Sacagawea varieties together. The exact mint mark matters. If your coin says D, you are dealing with the Denver issue, and its evaluation should be based on the characteristics of that particular coin. One of the biggest misconceptions about the 2000D Sacagawea dollar is the belief that its golden color means the coin is made from gold. That is not correct. The standard composition listed by PCGS is 88.5% copper, 6% zinc, 3.5% manganese, and 2% nickel. The coin's golden appearance comes from this specialized metallic composition and surface treatment rather than from precious metal gold content. This is an important fact because the coin was intentionally designed to have a distinctive golden appearance. The United States Mint wanted the new dollar to be easily recognizable, especially because it was replacing the older Susan B. Anthony dollar in public attention. The color was therefore part of the coin's visual identity, not evidence of gold bullion value. If someone tells you that every 2000D golden dollar contains valuable gold, you should immediately question that claim. A normal example is a base metal circulating coin, not a gold investment piece. Collectors instead focus on scarcity, condition, varieties, errors, provenance, and certification. A coin with beautiful original surfaces and exceptional preservation can be considerably more interesting than a damaged coin that happens to look shiny. This is why professional coin collecting requires more than simply looking at color. Weight, diameter, design, mint mark, surface quality, and authentication all matter. If you own one of these coins, do not polish it or chemically clean it just because you want the golden color to look brighter. Original surfaces are generally much more desirable to serious collectors. Now we come to one of the most important facts in this entire video: mintage. PCGS reports a regular issue mintage of 518,916,000 for the 2000D Sacagawea dollar. That enormous number tells us that the ordinary 2000D is plentiful compared with genuinely scarce American coins. PCGS describes the issue as abundant because of its high production, with greater scarcity appearing mainly in very high grades. This is exactly why the date alone should not be used to call the coin rare. A coin can be old enough to interest collectors and still have millions of surviving examples. In fact, the 2000D is the second highest mintage circulation strike of the Sacagawea dollar series, according to PCGS. The 2000p Philadelphia issue had an even higher reported mintage of 767,140,000. After the first year, production dropped dramatically as public demand for the new dollar proved lower than the mint initially expected. That historical change makes the 2000 issue especially interesting because the mint produced hundreds of millions of coins during the launch year. Therefore, if you find a circulated 2000D in ordinary condition, you should not assume that you have discovered a rare treasure. The real opportunity comes from identifying a coin with exceptional preservation, a recognized special issue, or a genuine mint error. This is where careful examination becomes much more important than simply seeing the date. Condition is one of the most important factors affecting the collector desirability of a 2000D Sacagawea dollar. A coin that spent years in circulation can develop scratches, contact marks, discoloration, edge damage, and general wear. By contrast, a coin that was preserved shortly after production may retain much of its original mint luster and detail. Professional grading services use standardized numerical grades to describe the condition of coins. For modern uncirculated coins, collectors often pay particular attention to the difference between grades such as MS65, MS66, MS67, MS68, and higher. The difference between these grades can be surprisingly important when a large mintage coin becomes difficult to find at the highest levels. PCGS identifies the 2000D as abundant overall, but notes that it becomes somewhat scarce in MS67 and higher. This is a perfect example of how rarity can exist within a common coin. Millions may exist, but only a small percentage may remain in exceptional condition. Contact marks are especially important because the large open fields of the dollar can show imperfections easily. A coin can look perfect from several feet away, but reveal many tiny marks under magnification. Professional graders also consider luster, strike, eye appeal, surface preservation, and other characteristics. That is why a valuable-looking coin should never be judged solely from a photograph taken under poor lighting. If you believe you have an exceptionally preserved example, professional certification can help establish its grade and authenticity. There is another fascinating chapter in the story of the 2000D Sacagawea Dollar, the special Millennium coinage and currency set. PCGS records that a special 2000D Sacagawea Dollar was included in this set along with a $1 currency note and a 2000 uncirculated silver eagle. PCGS reports that the mint produced 75,000 sets, which makes this special presentation different from the enormous regular circulation mintage. The Millennium Set Sacagawea dollars were generally produced with a special burnished finish, giving them a different appearance from ordinary circulation strike pieces. This is one reason collectors should pay attention to provenance and original packaging. PCGS explains that it will assign the Millennium designation to qualifying 2000D Sacagawea dollars submitted in their original sealed mint packaging. That means the packaging and history of the coin can be important when establishing the special designation. However, this does not mean every 2000D coin is automatically a Millennium Set coin. A normal loose coin found in change should not simply be labeled a Millennium example. Collectors should look for evidence supporting the coin's origin. The Millennium Set history adds an interesting layer to the 2000D story and demonstrates how two coins with the same year and mint mark can have different collector characteristics. If you own an original Millennium coinage and currency set, it may deserve closer examination than a random circulated dollar. Always preserve original mint packaging when possible, because provenance can be useful for specialized collecting. And a major warning. The year 2000 Sacagawea Dollar is famous for several varieties, but here we need to make a very important distinction. Some of the most valuable and widely discussed varieties are associated with the 2000p Philadelphia issue rather than the regular 2000D Denver coin. PCGS lists the 2000p Cheerios prototype reverse and the 2000p Wounded Eagle among its recognized major varieties. NGC's Variety Plus database likewise lists the 2000p Cheerios varieties and the Speared Eagle, while separately listing the 2000D Millennium Set. This means you should never take a photograph of a famous 2000p variety and assume that the same feature automatically exists on your 2000D. The mint mark is a critical part of the identification process. Internet videos sometimes show a rare 2000 Sacagawea variety and then suggest that any 2000 coin might be worth thousands or millions. That is misleading without proper attribution and authentication. If you suspect an unusual feature, photograph both sides of the coin clearly and examine the exact area under magnification. Compare it with trusted numismatic references rather than random social media photographs. A genuine variety can have a very specific diagnostic characteristic, while damage can create something that looks unusual but has no premium. This is why collectors should learn the difference between a variety, an error, and post-mint damage. The 2000D is definitely worth learning about, but it should not be confused with every famous 2000p variety. What should you actually look for? Mint errors are another area where collectors can become excited, but this is also where misinformation is extremely common. A genuine mint error happens during the manufacturing process and can include abnormal striking, planchet problems, or other production-related mistakes. A simple scratch across the coin is not a mint error. A dent caused by dropping the coin is not a mint error. Damage caused by machines, chemicals, jewelry, or other coins after production is also not automatically collectible as a major error. When examining a 2000D dollar, start with the basic details. Check whether the coin has normal dimensions, normal weight, and normal design alignment. Look carefully at the lettering, portrait, eagle, rim, and edge. Compare unusual features with a known normal example of the same issue. If the feature appears to be raised metal, missing design, an abnormal strike, or another manufacturing-related characteristic, it may deserve further investigation. If the feature appears scraped, flattened, discolored, or cut into the surface, post-mint damage is more likely. A professional error attribution service can be extremely helpful when the potential error is significant. Never damage the coin yourself in an attempt to make an error more visible. Do not scrape, drill, polish, heat, or chemically treat the coin. The best approach is always careful observation, accurate photography, and professional evaluation when necessary. Realistic value. What is your coin actually worth? Now let's answer the question that almost every viewer wants to know. How much is a 2000D Sacagawea dollar worth? The first answer is simple. An ordinary circulated example is generally not a $1 million coin. Its face value is $1, and its collector premium depends heavily on condition and other special characteristics. PCGS's current price guide data shows that the 2000D becomes much more interesting as the grade rises, with high-grade certified examples carrying substantially greater values than ordinary circulated pieces. PCGS also records a historic auction record of $25,875 for an MS-67 example, dated January 1, 2009. That auction result is important, but viewers should not mistake a historical auction record for the current value of every coin. A certified MS-67 coin is completely different from a scratched coin that has circulated for years. Market prices can change, and auction results represent specific coins under specific circumstances. Special designations, provenance, IAPL, and certification can also influence what collectors are willing to pay. This is why responsible coin collecting should focus on identification rather than sensational price claims. If you see a video claiming that every 2000D Sacagawea dollar is worth thousands or millions, be extremely cautious. The real question is, what exact coin do you have, what grade is it, and is there a recognized variety or error? Those three questions can make a huge difference. A professional evaluation is the best way to determine whether an unusually nice coin deserves further attention. How to check your own 2000D coin. If you have a 2000D Sacagawea dollar at home, you can perform a careful first inspection without spending any money. Begin by identifying the date and confirming the D mint mark. Next, examine the coin under bright but indirect light, preferably with a magnifying glass or a good camera macro setting. Look at Sacagawea's portrait and check the fields for scratches, contact marks, discoloration, and signs of cleaning. Then turn the coin over and inspect the eagle, feathers, stars, lettering, and rim. Check the edge as well, because the regular 2000D Sacagawea dollar has a plain edge. If you have an accurate digital scale, you can compare the coin's weight with the standard approximately 8.10 gram specification. A small difference can occur because of wear or measurement conditions, so a scale alone cannot prove an error. Avoid touching the surfaces unnecessarily, because fingerprints can leave oils that affect the appearance over time. Most importantly, never clean the coin with silver polish, toothpaste, chemicals, or abrasive materials. Cleaning can permanently damage the original surface and reduce collector appeal. If the coin appears unusually sharp, brilliant, or free of contact marks, compare it with high-grade certified examples. If you suspect a genuine error or special variety, seek an opinion from a reputable professional rather than relying on an online comment. The goal is not simply to find a high price. The goal is to correctly identify what you actually have. Final collector lesson and outro. The 2000D Sacagawea dollar is a fascinating example of how a modern American coin can be common in one sense and highly interesting in another. Its huge regular mintage means that the average circulated example should not be treated as an extremely rare coin. At the same time, high-grade examples, special Millennium Set pieces, and properly attributed unusual coins can attract much greater collector attention. The coin has a distinctive golden appearance, a Sacagawea portrait by Glenna Goodacker, and an eagle reverse designed by Thomas D. Rogers Sr. It weighs approximately 8.10 grams, measures approximately 26.50 millimeters, has a plain edge, and uses a copper-based alloy containing copper, zinc, manganese, and nickel. The Denver D. Mint mark is essential when distinguishing this issue from the Philadelphia 2000p. The coin's enormous production also tells us an important lesson about modern numismatics. Age alone does not create rarity. Condition, scarcity, varieties, errors, provenance, and authentication are what can transform an ordinary coin into a collector's prize. So if you have a 2000D dollar in your collection, do not throw it away just because it is common. But do not believe every exaggerated internet valuation either. Examine it carefully, protect its original surface, and learn exactly what characteristics you are looking at. And remember, the most valuable thing a collector can have is not a rumor about a coin's price. It is accurate knowledge about the coin itself. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 2000D Sacagawea dollar, make sure you stay connected with Coins Explorer for more real coin history, identification guides, varieties, errors, and collector information. Keep checking those old coins, because you never know what interesting story might be hiding in your collection.